Hey, I'm Lights Camera Jackson. It's the final day of April, and welcome to LCJ Live. It's Sunday, April 30, 2023. The spring movie season is technically about to be over. It's about to be summer with Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 opening in just a few days. How will it do? I will tell you coming up here in just a second. We'll get to the weekend box office results. No surprise, Mario on top with another $40 million. It's at $490. I thought my $500 million domestic prediction I made on April 5 was going to happen. It is going to happen, and maybe it'll get to $600 million. Mario is about to become the second animated movie of this modern era, all time, whatever you want to look at it, to get over $500 million domestically. Finding Dory couldn't do that. Frozen 2 couldn't do that. The only movie to get over $600 million domestically, Incredibles 2 with just over $600 million domestically. So look at Mario. It's at $490. It's going to make a run at $550. I don't think it'll get to $600, but wow, just amazing results for Illumination and Universal. Another $40 million this weekend. It's not going to be number one next weekend. Its reign as the number one movie is over in just a few days because of Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 with Groot and Rocket here with me. But look, this movie did so well. It's doing so well, and it will continue to bring in families for a few more weeks before Little Mermaid comes out for Memorial Day weekend and before Spider-Verse on June 2. Now, you do have Rally Road Racers, which is an animated movie I highly recommend families go see when it opens on May 12th. It's not going to have the blockbuster box office results of Mario by any means, but it's a good quality animated movie. So that is a little bit of competition for Mario on May 12th, but still Mario will dominate for the next few weeks, even with Guardians, because some families will go to Guardians, but some won't, who have young kids who are not ready for a Marvel Cinematic Universe action movie, especially this grand finale in this trilogy. Families are still going to go to Mario, could still do another 20 million plus next weekend, another 10 or 15 the following, and probably another 8 to 10 million the week after that before Little Mermaid. Incredible. You know what had a decent second weekend is Evil Dead Rise. I was saying last week here, sometimes these horror movies drop big. It dropped half, even a little less than half. Not bad. 12.2 million for the second week of Evil Dead Rise. It's at 44.4, needs another 14 million to pass Shazam as the biggest Warner Brothers movie of the year. It's going to make a run at that. We will see. Maybe a lot of the horror fans are going to go to Guardians, but Evil Dead Rise could possibly pass Shazam to be the biggest Warner Brothers movie heading into the summer for them with Flash and Barbie. We'll see what happens there. In third this weekend is Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret, which I saw the other day from Kelly Freeman Craig, writer-director of The Age of 17, of course, based on the classic Judy Blume book, starring Rachel McAdams, who I thought was very good in it. My favorite performance comes from Rachel McAdams. I enjoyed Kathy Bates as well. The young girl will certainly get some big roles off of this. And Abby Ryder-Forson, I believe her name is. And, Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret. I think there's a fan base of Judy Blume in this book. And certainly they probably went this weekend, 6.8 million. But there may be some closer to Mother's Day weekend. Mothers bringing their daughters, grandmothers bringing their granddaughters. You could see a lot of that in the theaters over the next couple weeks, even with competition of Book Club 2. So, Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret. I think could make a run at totaling 20 million, depending on if some people decided to wait or if everyone went right away to see the movie. So 6.8 million in third place. It is an improvement on The Edge of 17 for Kelly Freeman Craig, which opened to about 4.8 million back in 2016 in November. It was a crowded time period. That movie totaled a little over 14 million. I think Margaret's going to do more than that. I think it could make a run at 20. It depends on how the holds are over the next couple of weeks. Look, Star Wars is in full force. May the 4th be with you this Thursday, and I'll be talking with the makers of Star Wars Young Jedi Adventures tomorrow. You'll get a new Animation Scoop Q&A. An LCJ Q&A podcast episode should be coming later this week for that. Brand new Disney Junior animated series premiering on TV and on Disney Plus this Thursday. And also for Star Wars, the 40th anniversary of Return of the Jedi did much better than everybody thought it was going to do. $5 million this weekend. Huge per screen average. It's on premium format screens. And Disney and Lucasfilm happy that it's in the top 5. John Wick Chapter 4 added $5 million. 176.2. It was re-released in IMAX in some theaters this weekend. That helped, and it did finally pass John Wick Chapter 3 Parabellum's 171 domestic total. It'll try to get to 185. I think it'll come a little short, but at least it passed Chapter 3. If you've got questions or comments, I'm going to give you my Guardians predictions for box office coming up here in a little bit. But if you're watching live here on LCJ Live, send in your questions and your comments. Rest of the box office this weekend, everything kind of close. Really close. In fact, for Dungeons & Dragons, which added 4.1 million, it's at 88.2. Try to get to 95, will not get to 100 for Paramount. Another 4 million for Air. It's just closing in on 48 million for Amazon. It will hit 50 million, which I think they'll be happy with. And then you've got Ponniyin Selvan Part 2. We had Part 1 last September that did all right. This one, I think, is going to do even better than that. 3.8 million for that so far. Guy Ritchie's The Covenant, 3.6 million. It's at 12.3. And rounding out your top 10 this weekend is a compelling action thriller revenge movie. I call it Sophisticated Madness, and that is Sisu, the second movie from Lionsgate. Lionsgate had 2 movies this weekend, Margaret and Sisu. Sisu made 3.3 million. I thought it was going to do a little more, to be honest, but it did okay. The per screen average was decent. It's only in 1,000 theaters. And the people who were interested in seeing this based off the reviews, I think it's a good movie, went to see it. A movie that, unfortunately, outside the top 10, unless it ends up making more than Sisu, is Big George Foreman, which opened this weekend. Right now, 11th place with $3 million. I was one of only 4 people who went to see this the other day. I was one of only 5 people at the showing of Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret. Look, George Foreman, it's a good movie. It is. Chris Davis, who plays George Foreman, is excellent. Forrest Whitaker is excellent. It is compelling. It's emotional. It feels whole. It has a lot of heart to it, and you're with it pretty much every step of the way. Is it the greatest sports movie of all time? No. But does it do what a good sports biopic should do? Keeps your interest the entire time, has compelling performances, isn't entirely predictable? Yes. Even if you know the story, you know the matches, you know about George Foreman's life, I think there are going to be new things you learn, and you're going to be with it. So I recommend Big George Foreman. I wish it made more than $3 million this weekend. Maybe it'll do better on at-home viewing. If the boxing fans didn't come out for this, maybe it'll do better as an at-home play, a VOD play, a Netflix play. I could see it doing better there. Sony's got to deal with Netflix, and I know everything switches around of where all these movies go to streamers. But I know A Man Called Otto is coming to Netflix very soon. Whitney Houston just debuted there. So if this gets to Netflix, I think there will be a lot more eyeballs on it than those who went to see it in the theater this weekend. A couple other movies, Polite Society, I think under $1 million for that was new this weekend. Some of the other movies eliminated from the top 10, like Beau is Afraid, which added more than 1,000 theaters or something like that, and it made less money. People thought it was going to do even better this weekend. No, the movie's terrible. Renfield, Pope's Exorcist also left the top 10. So there you go. I mentioned we have the new Star Wars animated show. The other big movie besides Guardians, which I'll get to in a second, that's coming out this week is a film I've seen. It's called What's Love Got to Do with It? And it has nothing to do with the Tina Turner. It has nothing to do with it. It is a romance dramedy with Lily James and Emma Thompson. I'm embargoed until at least tomorrow to share my thoughts on it. Mike Sargent and I are going to review it on the next episode of Too Fast after this week's new episode. He reviews a movie called The Artifice Girl, and I review Big George Foreman. We talk about it. It'll be up soon at toofast2films.com. The next episode, we're going to do What's Love Got to Do with It and probably Guardians. So it's coming to theaters, and I really can't say anything till tomorrow, but it's different than I expected it to be. I expected, hoping for one thing, and I got a little bit different, and did it entirely work? And that's what I'll get into more this week. That's the only other real, there's a few others, but that's the real biggest movie that's coming out against Guardians. And then on May 12th, there's like 7 new movies coming out. So nobody else really wanted to go up against Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. Until about 2 weeks ago, I would have said, gosh, there's a new Guardians movie coming out. There's a new Marvel movie coming out. I haven't seen a ton of promotion. But finally, with the marketing that's been going on, with these early screenings that in some places around the country, the CinemaCon buzz, Finally, we're starting to get the momentum of, oh yeah, it's a big new Marvel movie coming out to kick off the summer, and it's the finale in the Guardians trilogy. It took a while. I mean, to me, I think Disney was focused on other things. We just had the last Ant-Man movie, and until, like I said, week and a half, 2 weeks ago, I would have thought that this Guardians was going to flat out bomb, because I just did not feel what I normally feel going into a big Marvel movie, which is there is this anticipation for it. Now I think we're starting to get there. It has to do more than 100 million this weekend. The last one I think opened to 145-ish. This has to do close to that. If it does significantly less than that, Disney's not going to be happy. This Ant-Man movie did 104 and then another 20 million on President's Day. This has to do at least 120, 130 million, maybe more. I'm also seeing low-ish estimates on Fast 10, which opens in 2.5 weeks. $70 million. The last one, which was 2 years ago, F9, the Fast Saga, opened to $70 million, but that was early on in COVID. It, along with A Quiet Place Part 2 and Cruella, were three of the first big blockbuster movies, and there was Godzilla vs. Kong, but three of the first big blockbuster movies to come out in the slow return to cinemas. So 70 million was underwhelming, but it was sort of understandable. 70 million now for Fast 10, 2 years later, I feel like is too low. If it only does that, Universal will not be happy. They're making Fast 11, bringing back this director, Louis Leterrier, anyway, but I think it's got to do more than that, and I think this Guardians has to do more than the 110 that I'm seeing as an estimate. We've got these characters for one final time. It's James Gunn in his finale for Marvel as he prepares for this new Superman movie over at DC and Warner Brothers. Hopefully the movie is very good. I was severely disappointed with Guardians Volume 2 in 2017. I thought it was average at best and lacked the charm of the first one, lacked the emotional integrity of the first one, lacked the depth of the first one. It was a little full of itself. And this new Suicide Squad that James Gunn did 2 summers ago was also very full of itself and I thought was terrible. I hope that he took his time in preparing this third Guardians, this finale, and gives these characters, a satisfying send-off. That's what I'm hoping for. That's what I think every Marvel fan is hoping for. It was May 5, 2017, I believe. So we're 6 years to the day of Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. Hope it's good. Think it'll make at least 120, if not 130, close to 140 million this weekend, starting Thursday. It's gotta. It'll bring in some families. It'll bring in all the Marvel fans. Will it have quite the drop-off that Ant-Man did? If this movie is significantly better than this Ant-Man movie, and if it's the best MCU movie of the last 5 or 6 since Spider-Man, which there are some people saying that it is, if that's the case, people will go a second time. Will they go right away? Maybe not, but they will go a second time, as opposed to Ant-Man, where everyone pretty much went once. It made more than half its money in its first 4.5 days, and that's the end of it. I could see this Guardians doing better than that, and people going a second time, depending on if the movie is very good. So that's the big movie headline for this week, of course, is Guardians, with Star Wars in the mix as well. New LCJ Q&A podcast and Animation Scoop Q&As are coming very soon. More in this 15th season of the show. Rob Hoagie for Frog and Toad is the latest episode at lcj.podbean.com. There's more with animated shows and movies, Rally Road Racers. Another one, Mulligan for Netflix is on the way. And this one for Star Wars. There's more that I can't even talk about yet that's on the way for this summer. There's a lot of big animated movies coming from studios like Pixar and Sony and DreamWorks and Netflix and a few others that will be happening in the summertime. Paramount with Ninja Turtles. So it's going to be a big summer for animation, and it's going to be a big summer for motion pictures, kicking off in just a few days. Theaters thank Mario for all the work that it's done and will continue to do for them. Now we get going with Guardians, Book Club, Fast 10, Little Mermaid, Spider-Verse, Transformers, Elemental and the Flash, and Indiana Jones, and a few others, No Hard Feelings, and Ruby Gillman, Asteroid City from Wes Anderson, among others, Strays, coming out for May and June. We get into July with Mission Impossible, and Oppenheimer and Barbie, and then we've got Ninja Turtles. I'm missing something for the end of July. Haunted Mansion. Ninja Turtles will be in August. There's a few others for August. September, Labor Day weekend, is The Equalizer 3. So it's going to be a big summer for sure. And when we're back here next Sunday at 12 p.m. Eastern on LCJ Live, we'll see how Guardians does. I'll give you my thoughts on it when I see it later this week. And we'll preview some the big movies coming out for Mother's Day weekend, like Book Club, Rally Road Racers, some at home, and some more in theaters. As always, go to Twitter at LCJ Reviews, Instagram at LightsCamJackson, and the website is lights-camera-jackson.com. Thank you for watching today's episode of LCJ Live. Really appreciate it. If you want my full review of Sisu, that's on the website. And I'll see you next Sunday as we end the month of April. We end the first third of 2023, and we're now ready to kick off the summer movie season. Take care, everybody. Thanks for watching LCJ Live. Bye-bye.